Okay, hit me.
Okay, so let's just starting with why you want to write this book, because you just mentioned that you got a contract from the publishers, but you don't really mention about why you really want to elaborate from the TED Talk to such a big book.
Yeah, well, I always thought it would be a fun idea to write a book, especially a book about street performance and what that meant for my music career, because I saw the more and more I got into the music industry and realized that my philosophy was different and strange compared to a lot of the people around me, I started looking to answer why. And the answer that I kept coming up with was I was a street performer. I had a totally different way of looking at the world. And I always thought that that would be a great book to write, to explain why street performance made me who I was. But I was busy, and I was a rock star, and I was busy on tour doing the real things that rock stars do, which is not writing books. And then I used Kickstarter and made a lot of money, or seemed to have made a lot of money. A lot of that money just disappeared instantly, as it does. But the controversy that came out of the Kickstarter got me invited to TED. And then when the TED Talk that I did went viral, that's when the publishers came, and I said, this is the time to write that book. And the TED Talk that I gave was more or less the same things that I wanted to write the book about anyway, which is having a street performance attitude in the music industry is rare, but it also means that things like crowdfunding and Kickstarter can work because your relationship with your audience isn't based on capitalism and commerce and money. It's based on trust, and it's based on connection, and it's based on Neil Gaiman walking into the room, I think. Neil Gaiman walking into the room. Oh my God, it is. There he is. This is a recorded Skype interview, so you're on candid camera.
Oh, dear God. Hello.
So yeah, that was why the book. And also, making a living nowadays as a musician at any level, whether you're a teeny, little musician, middle musician, massively famous. Hold on a second. That's really loud, and it's gonna. I would just skip it until I'm done, because it's gonna be too crazy loud. Neil Gaiman, to build a fire. Trying to build a fire. So it's hard nowadays to just put out a record and make money. So what I'm seeing almost all of my musician friends doing is finding other outlets, and one of those outlets was a book, because the publisher paid me. I didn't have to crowdfund it. I didn't have to do a massive Kickstarter and spend a year dealing with Kickstarter. I just got a check and put my ass in a chair and wrote a book, and it was wonderful to all of a sudden do something as simple as that, and get paid. So, and I will be very, very honest, as I know most of my friends are very honest about the other kinds of work they're doing now to make ends meet as musicians. They do music for TV. They compose music for commercials. They are doing a podcast. They're doing this, they're doing that. And the world really has changed. Like, most musicians can't just write songs and go on stage. And also because media is so exciting. There are so many ways to communicate with people, connect with people, and come up with metaphors and throw them at people. And, even Twitter is like an art form. So that's a, massive tangent I just went off on, but hopefully that answered your question. Yeah, I think people are starting to accept crowdfunding as normal, which is great. Because the first people using Kickstarter were like the sacrificial lambs, and they really, like, no matter what community they were in, the literary community, the webcast, the YouTuber community, the comics community, the music community, the film community, anybody who went first and had a huge success got yelled at. And, and then those people formed a club. Like, I felt like I was in a club with all of the other people, like the filmmakers and, whoever was getting yelled at. We were like, oh, we're the people getting yelled at. High five. It was like a little secret club that we were in, not so secret club that we were in. But now I think people get that it's a totally normal thing to do. It's just one option. It's one path. If you want to make a living as an artist, this is one choice you have. And if you've got a really, charismatic personality and you want to talk to your fans and you want to lead a community into a project, Kickstarter's a really good way to do it. For your shy, retiring musicians, it might not be the best option. Or, if you're a shy, retiring musician, you better have a friend who's willing to go out and like be the hype man to be like, hey, let's make a record. Check out the baby. The baby is now fed and happy.
Wow, he's so cute.
He's
Wow.
pretty cute.
How
pretty
old
cute.
is he?
He's 2 months old.
2 months old? So little?
Yeah. teeny weeny baby. So yeah, it's nice to see crowdfunding getting normalized, and for me, I was happy to have those fights and battles and talk to everyone and explain to everybody. The most irritating thing to me is that, all of that time I spent discussing Kickstarter and money and fame and problems and, I still look at that and wish that I could have spent that time talking to people about art and talking to people about music and talking about my record and talking about my band and talking about the time that I spent sitting down and writing those songs instead of talking about money. But I also feel like somebody's got to do it. And why not me? I feel like I was the one that was called upon. So, if the world was willing to be so generous with me, if I have to take a year out of my life to explain it, if I have to take a year out of my life to write a book about it, great. That's fine. I'll do that. And I did. So.
But it's still very hard to imagine how you went through all those things, because there are so many arguments at that time. So how do you keep your faith and keep going?
Yoga. A lot of yoga. A lot of letting go and a lot of compassion and a lot of self-compassion and constant forgiveness and remembering that, of all the problems I could be having in the world, these are not so bad. A lot of that.